So we need to make a quick video about this. Pam Bondi has gone full official in the Senate, saying that there is no client list, no Epstein client list. It's pretty much, let's say, a done deal at this point. Attorney General Pam Bondi has now publicly testified that a Jeffrey Epstein client list doesn't exist. She revealed that while documents once sat on her desk, her review found no evidence of any official client list tied to Epstein. Let's watch the clip and, well, I have a couple of things to say about this.
In February, you made a public claim that the Epstein client list was, quote, sitting on my desk right now for review, end of quote. You then produced already public information and no client list at a major media event hosted at the White House. Attorney General Bondi, why did you publicly claim to have the Epstein client list waiting for your review and then produce nothing relevant to that claim?
Senator Durbin, if you listen to my entire clip on that, I said I had not reviewed it yet, that it was sitting on my desk along with the JFK files, the Martin Luther King files, and I said I had not yet reviewed it. And if you see our memo on Epstein, you will see, excuse me, our memo on Epstein clearly points out that there was no client list, our July 6th memo.
So first, she says, that is basically the clip. She says that she makes some kind of adjustment or make it clear that she said that she hadn't reviewed it. So you remember her words, right? But just in case if your memory is failing and you want a refresher on this, I've got the original clip so we can just rewatch it, just in case.
I saw your appearance at CPAC with Ben and with Ted Cruz, and one of the things that you alluded to, and this is something Donald Trump has talked about, the DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
Okay.
Okay, so that's essentially what she says right here, that it was sitting on her desk and along with the JFK files, the Martin Luther King files, and she hadn't reviewed it yet. The issue that I see here is that the complete thing is so, I don't know, the word could be suspicious, could be the word. It's like, I could say, okay, let's try to think this through. You know that I try to think things and connect the dots in a way that I try to make sense, right? And this doesn't make sense in so many ways. You remember that we saw those Jeffrey Epstein victims saying that they were going to build or make their own Epstein client list, but in private. So they were not going to release it either. So I mean, there's a lot going on here, and I can't, for the life of me, understand why, with so many victims, nobody has, that there could be people who are afraid, of coming forward. They fear for their lives, they fear for their family. But with so many women and girls who were trafficked, I mean, statistically, you should have at least one or two who have like nothing to lose, right? And why does one or two, I don't know, have come forward and said whatever they know about the operation of this? They have said that, okay, I'm not aware of it. So why the things that I complain, my main complaint about this is how they have kind of manage this from a total lack of transparency. And by the way, in terms of transparency, Kash Patel had the goal of tweeting, "The transparency I promise is being delivered by this FBI." And he got community note. You know that people can add notes to, let's say, clear up some things that can be the real deal. In this case, the note says the Trump campaign, well, this is wrong. The Trump campaign did not promise to release the full Epstein files. That was not in the Trump campaign. Trump just mentioned it passingly a couple times when he was asked a direct question, but he never ran on that issue, if we are being honest. But having said that, I have way too many videos already of Pam Bondi, Cash Patel, Dan Bongino talking about this. We're going to be transparent. We're going to release everything. We're going to give you everything that you want. And Cash Patel told Senator Kennedy recently that there's nothing. And again, if you haven't seen those or that clip of Cash Patel saying that himself at the Senate, well, here it is.
You've seen most of the files. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one?
For the information that we have.
In the files?
In the case file.
Okay.
Where do we go from here? I mean, where do we go from here? So I see in my comments, I see my reply saying, hey, Jesus, let it go. That is not going to happen. I just can't let this go because there are so many things, so many pieces of this puzzle that don't make sense. And I made a video dedicated to Pam Bondi's contradiction over, weeks or months over this case. And they releasing that video that was pretty much nothing, and then 1 minute missing, and then Pam Bondi saying that minute missing was something usual, and it turns out that it was not the usual thing. There was actually the minute that was missing, and so many things don't fit. And again, this is something that I have a lot of trouble believing that this guy got into so much trouble trafficking all these women and girls only for himself, with so many people that were to his island, to so many people who were to his properties. Absolutely none of them partake in those activities. I mean, that is incredible, right? Because you could imagine that maybe if somebody likes cigars and you meet with other people, many other people, hundreds of other people, you're gonna find other people who likes cigars, right? Maybe that's an analogy, right? And if you happen to bring cigars to your home or to your island, maybe you can invite also those people who like cigars. But, right, it would be natural, right? If you know hundreds of people, as we know that Jeffrey Epstein knew. And by the way, what was so interesting and fascinating on having to fly over to his island when they could talk about, business and stuff in, let's say, closer venues, have to travel so far to just talk or whatever. I'm just asking questions here. I don't know how to tell you, but this has been so disappointing in so many ways. But I think the best, besides this, I was right. It turns out that I was right. I told you that they were going to just bury whatever was left of the Jeffrey Epstein list legend, because it turns to be an urban legend at this point for them, not for us. But at the same time, if the victims also don't want to, go public with this, none of them are saying, okay, I can understand that a group of 10 of those victims, it's a very close and a very tight group, they decided to, okay, we are going to do this by ourselves, but in private. Okay, that's one thing. But seriously, of the dozens, if not hundreds, of women who were trafficked, there's no a couple, the 2 or 3 that can spill the beans, that have nothing to lose. I don't understand. That's the thing. That is one of the things that I don't get from this. So Pam Bondi, Cash Patel say there's nothing to see here. And the victims themselves don't, give something substantial. And what is it? What was it really all for Epstein? Because we know that some victims already said that there were other people. The problem is that those victims were already settled with a lot of money. And then there's a conflict of interest. I mean, this is just a mess. But again, my last thoughts, my final thoughts on this was that this is as far as we were going to get with the Epstein files. And you saw Pam Bondi right now saying that, no, there's nothing out there. But again, I would really like to know what do you think about this in the comments. Remember that I have a dedicated channel for political commentary. I'm going to leave you with a link in the description of this video. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Body Language Guy. Much love and bliss.